Hey everyone, Hannah here, and today I wanted to give some life updates about the changes that I'm making that I think are going to be a positive change for my life overall. As you can probably tell from the setup around me, things are definitely changing in our apartment, and that's due to us getting ready to move. Now, as many of you know, our apartment is something that brings us a lot of happiness, and we think the space fits us extremely well. And on top of that, we think that the price is reasonable considering that all utilities are included in the price that we pay. So why are we looking to move, you may ask? Well, the reason for that is that me and Sage have made a few different decisions that will be changing our lives for the better. First up on the list of changes is me starting a newish job last week. I say newish because it's a job that I have had before at a place that I am familiar with, but I am not completely comfortable with everything there since inevitably changes do happen, and since it's been 2 years since I've worked there, I'm sure there are changes there that are a bit different from what I was used to beforehand. I'm sure getting used to the intricacies of this job will take a while, like any new job would. Now that Abe is off my lap, I can begin to talk about why I decided to switch jobs. Now, as many of you know, I was extremely happy at my previous employer, and it's a place that I have come to call home over the many years that I have worked there. But I have learned that change can be good whether or not you want change to happen. I truly believe that complacency can lead to the death of progress, and I want to ensure that me and Sage are moving forward towards our goals for the rest of our lives and not just staying stagnant on the current path that we have already been on. Fortunately, I was able to devise a schedule that would allow me to keep both of my jobs by reducing my capacity at my old employer to just 1 day a week and working full-time at my new employer as well. By working 6 days a week, I am supercharging my income, which will allow us to meet our goals financially so much easier. I have also found that the added security of keeping both jobs during the middle of a pandemic makes me feel like my income is a little bit more secure than it was previously. And knowing that I have either employer to fall back on if God forbid something happens and I need to fall back onto just one of my positions, I could do that very easily. Also, by working 6 days a week, I will be earning money every day instead of going out and spending it every day, which is something that I loved about my prior work schedule back when I was working 6 or 7 days a week between both of these jobs in the past. So you may be saying to yourselves, well, that's great, Hannah. I'm glad that you got a new job that you're extremely happy about and that you're able to keep your old job as well. But what the heck does that have to do with moving? Well, as many of you know, me and Sage share one car to keep our expenses low and to prevent all of the extra bills and maintenance from 2 cars. We just thought it would be easier to simplify our lives and have just one car. Now that has worked very well for us in this apartment since I live close enough to my old employer that I could just walk down the street and I could be there very quickly, and Sage could take the car to her job. But since my new-ish employer is a little bit farther away and I need to take the car to go to that job, and since I work the same days of the week as Sage, it becomes difficult for us to imagine a world where we're dropping each other off at each other's jobs and making this work, especially since our sleep schedules have begun to become extremely different again as well. So we knew we had to make a change about our living situation in order to make our lives a lot simpler and easier. So we began researching different rental apartments in both of the areas, both where she works and where I work. And we were a little disappointed in the offerings in either area. And we found that if we moved to either of those places, we would not only be increasing the amount of money we would need to spend on our housing every single month, but that the space would be a less enjoyable space than the space we currently have right now. That was when Sage came up with the brilliant idea of moving in with her mother. I was surprised at just how receptive to the idea I was when Sage mentioned it for the first time. Whereas prior I had only seen the negative impact of relying on family in order to get through a tough situation, I did not see all the positives that would create as well. Now, I would like to recognize the privilege that both me and Sage have for being able to rely on our family for housing when our housing situation seems so bleak. I understand that not everybody out there may be able to fall back on their family in a way that we are going to be, but I would highly recommend that if you have that ability, I would look into it more than you initially did. Sometimes changes can be for the better, whether or not you think they will be a good change to begin with. Sometimes it takes just a couple extra days of thinking about something to understand the true pros and cons of that change. So we are in the process of moving into Sage's old room that has been freshly painted and spruced up. Now, obviously, with my intense work schedule of 6 days a week, Sage is going to be spending more time around where we are living than I will be. So this is primarily a decision in terms of whether or not it will make her happy. And we also happen to think that her having the company of her mother around will help with the fact that our work schedules have become so drastically different as of late. So by leaning on Sage's family for housing during this time, we will be able to supercharge our investments and work a lot faster towards the goals that we have for our future. These goals include home ownership, early retirement, and living a completely debt-free lifestyle. These three things are so important to us that we're willing to make sacrifices in so many other places in our lives just to ensure that those three things become a possibility down the road. And with every drastic step that we take towards those goals, we are inching just another step closer towards one of them. So yeah, lots of changes happening in our lives as of late, and I think that they will all be positive changes once we get through the extremely hellacious task of moving. I absolutely hate moving. So by taking some drastic changes as of late, we are working so much harder towards our goals than we ever thought was possible to begin with. We are looking at the real possibility of early retirement for the first time in our entire lives. By being able to save up money by living with Sage's mother, we will be able to buy a home, which will allow us to be living in that home completely debt-free, so that way we can continue to supercharge our investments and work towards that early retirement date. I am so excited to share this next step of our lives with all of you, and I expect that to be a primary focus on my channel in the next coming months. Expect to see plenty more videos about my own personal investments and what I am doing to move the needle forward towards that early retirement and home ownership goal. We are so excited about this next loop in the roller coaster of life, and I encourage all of you to take a look at everything in your life and consider whether or not you could change it. Doing something you already love? Think about how you could change that to make it even better. If you are complacent about something, you will never change, but oftentimes change can be exactly what you need to make yourself just a little bit happier. So hopefully by the time I see all of you again, we will be in our new space and I will have a brand new setup behind me. So if you enjoyed this video and were inspired by the changes that we have made to our lives, please give the video a like and consider subscribing to see just where this journey takes us in the future. Also, I would love to hear about the changes that you have made to your lives to better yourself in a way that you didn't think was possible prior to having that idea to change the specific aspect of your life. So please list that in the comments section below, so that way we can create a dialogue on how awesome change can be. And with that said, thank you so much for watching and take care. Yes, yes. Come on up. Ow. Oh my god, Abe. Ow, Abe. You need to relax. Fine then, goodbye, Abe. You suggested it. I was about to say that. Also, I would love to hear